Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshair, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender, originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshair.
Welcome back to another week of Reshair Radio. I'm your show, Chris Reshair, licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. And keep in mind that Movement Mortgage is also an equal housing lender. And I just wanted to say, gosh, if this is the first time you're listening to Reshair Radio, we're here each and every Sunday morning. And what we like to do, at least what I like to do as your host of Reshair Radio, is bring in local experts, even expert contributors that are part of the show on a regular basis. And we bring in relevant real estate, mortgage, finance, house-related, tips and topics each and every week so that our listeners can gain some new knowledge. And hopefully when they're done listening to our 1 hour show, they will walk away and go, wow, I learned several things. Now I want to buy a home, or now I feel more educated, or now I know how to take care of my home, whatever it might be. So the goal again for Reshair Radio is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotte teens to make sound financial decisions. And again, that's mostly around real estate, etc. So without further ado, I'd like to jump in this morning and introduce our expert contributor, Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolinas. He is a what I call repeat offender. Preston, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here, Chris.
Glad to have you. So, Preston, not everybody has listened to this show before. I know I have some people that do listen on a regular basis, but why don't you share with our listeners? I know that you've been a home inspector for 20 plus years, and you own Home Inspection Carolinas, but tell me a little bit about your company, how long you've been the owner, and so forth.
Okay. Well, I like your introduction there. So I've been an offender with 20 years in the tank there. So
Got it. Okay.
Guess I've done my time. Well, I own Home Inspection Carolina. We've been doing home inspections around the Charlotte area. We're actually in Charlotte. We're also now in Raleigh and Asheville. So
wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and it's nice to go up to Asheville. I love especially this time of year. But yeah, we do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing. We have thermal imaging cameras. We can check for energy loss, that sort of thing, which we talked a little bit about, and we'll probably be talking about today. Talk about some fall maintenance tips. We're certainly available if anybody is buying or selling a house or thinking about it. But we also like to add value to our listeners who are just out listening today, and I think we can give some maintenance tips for everybody who owns a home.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, and that's really the goal, because I'm on here every single week, and I've been blessed to be able to be a part of this show through the Real Estate Radio Network. But I mean, last week we talked about IRAs. That has nothing to do with mortgages, right? I mean, you're going to be talking about fall tips and how people can keep their home, ready, get it ready for the winter. And, that's good information for me and for anybody that's listening, whether or not they need a home inspection right now. They will remember you, and you have a great name in our local community, and really kind of excited to go through some of those tips. So you kind of given us some idea. And we actually, I believe my wife and I, the last couple of times we bought a home, we used your company. And one of the things that I really like is that I get an email update from you that talks about, different products that have warranties that are expiring or that have been recalled. I get updates from you, even it's been 3 years since I bought my home, and I'm still getting that touch from you every once in a while. It's not too much. I'm not getting too much marketing, but I feel like you're constantly trying to be creative and informing homeowners, not just home buyers or home sellers, but homeowners on how to protect their investment, which is really great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of jump into what our topic is for today. And you've brought with you today here this fall maintenance checklist, in which if you're a guy out there, you're waiting for the game to come on. Since you're waiting for the game, don't wait till the show is finished and maybe get a couple of these things done on this honeydew checklist before the game shows up later today. But let's kind of go through some of the things that you have found that people need to consider doing inside the house first. Let's start inside. That's the easy place, right?
Right. It's funny you should mention that, Chris, because Panthers got off to a rough start this year. And that's one of the things I said. I got so mad after about that third or fourth loss, I was like, I'm going to have the nicest yard in the neighborhood because I'm not going to spend my time watching those guys. But after last week, they won me over, so I'm going to watch again. So, but like you said, if you have a little time before, we have some tips to get your house up. Extend the life of some of your systems and lower some of your energy bills.
Perfect.
So the first one I have is ceiling fans. Any ceiling fan that you have, in the summer, you want it blowing down, which is, I think that's, that's counterclockwise.
Correct. Counterclockwise.
That's blowing down. So you want that wind chill effect in the summertime. So in the wintertime, you want to reverse that. There's a little switch on the side of your fan. It just slides up or down, and you want it now to go clockwise, which will actually pull the air up and push it up towards the ceiling and recirculate it back around. So, and you want to run it on low. You don't want to run it on high in the wintertime. So you want to be going.
You flip that little black button usually, and it changes the direction.
That's correct. And obviously turn it off while you're doing this. Don't
turn the fan off. Okay, that's a good idea.
I don't want to do
it's a good suggestion,
there,
Preston.
yeah.
I'm glad you're here for that. Hopefully our ESPN listeners were smart enough to do that first. But I think this is particularly helpful in those areas where maybe you have a high ceiling in a big family room where a lot of that heat rises up. It's probably not as critical in just a regular 8-foot ceiling because your heat circulates a little bit better. But if you've got one of those vaulted family rooms or even entryways that has a fan in it, that can make a really big difference so that heat just doesn't hover up to the top of the stairwell or the top of that vaulted or great room area. So I appreciate that's a great tip. So ceiling fan switch, reverse them and put that on low. Very good. All right, what's next on our list, man?
Well, the next thing, while we're in this topic of heat or furnace, you want to check your furnace. You also want to make sure the filters are changed. I like to have it tuned up, have it looked over by a heating professional. Just be wary, and I love our heating and air professionals. There are some, though, that let's just say lead generation to sell you a new system.
Right.
Try to avoid that. But at the very least, make sure you've changed your filters. Your registers are clean, and turn your system up for the first time. Now, I will tell you, there's two basic systems that we have in our area. You either have gas or you have a heat
pump. That's right.
Now, obviously, there's some radiators and all that sort of thing, but they're like in the 1 percentile. But I would say 99% fall on those. When you turn on that heat pump for the first time, and it hasn't been on for 6-8 months, dust builds up on the
exchange.
Yeah. So what happens is it's gonna burn. And when you first kick that on,
so you might get a smell, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you turn that heat pump on, the heat strips, that's what I was looking for, are dusty. So it has to burn that dust off, and it kind of freaks people out because sometimes their smoke detector will actually go off.
Wow.
So yeah, just to let you know, if you have a heat pump, when you turn it on that first time, you may get kind of a smoky smell, but it should dissipate after about an hour or so. But I would turn your heat on now to make sure, because you don't want to be
before it gets really cold,
right?
And then there's a line of HVAC guys, that there are people lined up. It's going to take a while for them to get out.
Yeah, exactly. But the biggest tip on that is to keep your filter changed.
Keep your filter. That's easy. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Reshair Radio. We've got expert contributor Preston Sandlin here from Home Inspection Carolinas, and we're just kind of going over a fall maintenance checklist. All right, so we talked about the furnace a little bit. You mentioned furnace filters. What about the water heater? I mean, am I really supposed to do something with my water heater?
Yes. You can extend the life of your water heater by flushing it out. What happens, Chris, is sediment builds up in the bottom of your water heater, and it'll shorten the life expectancy of your water heater. So at the very bottom of your water heater, whether it's electric or gas, you notice this theme going here, electric or gas.
That's right.
But there's actually it's kind of like a spigot, like an outdoor spigot.
A valve, maybe?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly like an outdoor spigot. It has a hose, adjust where you can hook a hose up to it. So what I always recommend now, you've got to put some thought in this. What we're trying to do here is hook a hose up to that and drain it. And when you first drain it, some sediment, it's going to be icky coming out at first. But until it
Because that's
clean,
at the bottom.
right.
Okay.
And then you're going to run it till it comes clean, and then just switch it off and make sure it's tight, and you're golden, and you've cleaned the sediment out.
And the water will fill naturally back up.
Correct. But let me back up before you do that. You've got to take into consideration where your water heater is.
And where that water is going to go.
Right. If you're in the garage, no problem. You could probably just run that hose on out down your driveway. If it's somewhere else, like the attic, you got to be careful. Or above a heated living area. There's a catch pan, but I don't recommend using that. What I always do, I have a water heater in the attic. I take a 5-gallon bucket, and I just have an old hose that I just cut. I have like a 5-foot section of hose, and I just hook it up and run that hose into the bucket. And I, turn on the spigot thing at the bottom of the water heater, run it out. It's a little bit kind of rusty, icky looking, and then it goes clean, and then shut it back down. And you flushed your water heater. And like you said, it'll fill back up, and your water heater will last much longer.
Wow, that's really cool. I've actually never heard anyone share that tip, and I usually kind of feel like I know what some of these kind of tips are. So that's great. And it doesn't sound like it's going to take, if you're careful, especially if it's in your garage, it shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes to knock this out.
Probably less than that.
Exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, we've got one more minute here before we head to break. You want to squeeze one more in for us, Preston?
Sure. This is a sump pump. And this is not everybody has a sump pump.
Typically, like maybe a basement
or some people have a sump pump in their
crawl space. Yep.
Basically, a sump pump is to get water out of where you've got a situation where the water you don't have a gravity drainage, so you've got to lift water out of where you don't want it. So a sump pump basically works. It has a housing, and the sump pump fits in there, and there's a float, so that thing fills up with water. When the float gets up to a certain point, sump pump kicks on, pumps the water out.
Moves the water out, right?
Yeah. The way you're going to test that is go in and just lift that pump. Maybe, again, use your bucket. Bucket's your friend. Pour a little water in there. Lift up that float and see if it'll pump it out correctly. And if not, you could have tripped a breaker. You could have burned the engine out, something like that. But, again,
you're just really making sure it's functioning so that way when you really need it,
correct,
it works.
Exactly.
Well, a great tip. So we're out of time for this segment. You're listening to Chris Reshatar here with Reshair Radio. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more fall maintenance tips from Home Inspection Carolina, Preston Sandlin. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Hey, Chris Reshatar here from Reshair Radio with Movement Mortgage. Are you still sitting on a high interest rate mortgage loan? Are you thinking about consolidating, paying off some of those credit card debts, or maybe doing some home improvement? Now's the time to call because interest rates are still at a 40-year low. My number is 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. I can also be found at themortgagegenius.com. Movement Mortgage is an equal housing lender and MLS license number 117266. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage, and I've got special expert contributor Preston Sandlin, home inspector extraordinaire. That's what I'm going to call you, Preston, from Home Inspection Carolina. I mean, you are a regular expert contributor here on our show, and when you come in, you bring in such great information, Preston, for our listeners. And while we spent a lot of time talking about buying homes, selling homes, and people getting mortgages, really today we're just bringing good information on how to kind of keep your home maintenance ready for the fall, ready for the winter, and just basic checklists. And we've been going through items that our listeners can go through inside their house. For those guys that are waiting for the game to come on, you could really surprise your honey and say, I'm working on the my fall maintenance checklist and getting the house all ready for the winter, honey, before the game's on. And boy, will she be impressed, right?
Yeah.
Honey-do list. You can do the honey-do list before you get it handed over to you. And Preston, you've given some good ideas like flipping the fans the opposite direction to conserve, and use your heat better. Some tips on the furnace and water heater, how to clean out the water heater, and how to test your sump pump to make sure it's working. So those were good tips we heard earlier in the first segment. Let's kind of go down the list on the next thing that you want to talk about.
The next one is fuel stabilizer. And you might, what are you talking about, Preston? Well, a lot of times, like your lawnmower, it happened with me. I learned this the hard way. Spring came around, jumped on my motorcycle, charged the battery up, jumped on my motorcycle, and man, it was just running terrible. It just kept bogging down.
Right.
And
it's buttery.
Exactly. And, $180 later at the mechanic shop, the Matthews Fun Machine there. I just gave you guys a plug.
They're okay with that.
Yeah, they told me that man, you've got trash or in your fuel tank. Sometimes water gets in there. Basically, when fuel sits for a while, it just it doesn't keep its optimal mixture. So
it's like salad dressing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It works after you shake it up, but after it sits for a season,
that's right.
It's not good.
So, but you can avoid this by putting fuel stabilizer. I think Stabil is one. There's a couple others, but go to like your, AutoZone, somewhere like that. But ask for fuel stabilizer and read the directions. But you want to put this in your lawnmowers, weed eaters, motorcycles, anything that you're not going to be using for several months, so that when you crank it up in the spring, you won't have the experience that I did.
Got it. All right. So we can learn from your example. We appreciate it. Simple. But
Anytime
simple. I mean, what's that? Like $5 later, you've saved yourself major trouble. And it's also protecting your equipment at the end of the day, right? So, all right. Next one, smoke detectors. What do you want to tell us about smoke detectors?
Well, the big thing is change your batteries and check them. Go around to all your smoke detectors. There's a test button on there. There's also, you can go on Amazon. There's a spray that you can buy that you can spray that emulates. Now, don't do this. I've heard people
headphones on first. Okay, but go ahead.
I've heard people like, well, I go around with a piece of paper and light it on fire and see if that thing goes off. I'm like, yeah, I'm too afraid of what else might happen there. I could see
not a good
way
idea.
that could go wrong.
Don't try this at home.
There is a test button on it, but there are some people who say that that's not the same as smoke. But you can buy a spray that sets that off. But at the very least, change all your batteries because, first of all, I mean, it's cheap and it's safe. And, that thing's going to start chirping and going off at 3 a.m. They never go off.
No, they don't. They always go off. They start beeping if the battery dies. It's always 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So we actually, my youngest son, Mason, is a Cub Scout. And one of his things that he needs to do to meet his Cub Scout requirements is to do a family emergency plan. And we just actually sat down this week as a family and we, where are we going to meet in case of a fire and all that jazz. And my wife said, I need you to change all the batteries in the smoke detectors because that's actually one of the items on the checklist in terms of creating a family emergency plan. And just a few years back, we had a situation, this probably about 5 years ago, and he was like 4 or 5 years old. And we were in our house and I happened to be home and the lamp in our living room caught on fire.
Holy cow.
It just went up in flames and I was upstairs. My wife starts screaming. I come flying down the stairs. The lamp is in flames. She pulls the thing out of the wall. And of course everyone was home. The kids were like in a frenzy and everything sort of settled down. The house didn't catch on fire, thank goodness. And then we started to look around and we said we couldn't find our son. We're like, where's Mason? Where's Mason? Like everyone was kind of watching like what was going to happen to this lamp and is the house going to catch on fire? And he had remembered the family emergency plan that we had done years ago. And he was at the mailbox, which is where the family was supposed to meet if there was ever a fire. And the kid was like 3 or 4 years old. And we were like, where'd Mason go? And we look out the window. I was like, you know what? He's at the family meeting place at the mailbox down the street. It's a great story, but it's a great idea. I mean, get your smoke detectors, make sure that they're functioning. That smoke alarm went off and he flew out to the mailbox. So pretty fun story,
That's crazy. That's good you were there. Did they find, was it a cord? Was it a faulty cord?
It was actually the assembly where the light bulb goes in. It was that part of the lamp that caught on fire.
Don't buy cheap lamps.
That's right.
Do not buy.
We did take it back to JCPenney, and we had bought it like 6 or 8 years earlier. They totally replaced it for free and got us new lamps.
I'm sure they're happy. They probably.
Yeah.
So pick out anyone you want. I did want to tell the folks out there, though, we kind of touched on it, but if your smoke detector's chirping, that is to let you know that the battery is low.
That's right.
And to replace it. All of our inspectors actually carry batteries with them because you would be amazed at how annoying you cannot perform an inspection with that thing chirping the entire time. I've been there and people live there, and I was like, that chirping bother you? It did at first. I got used to it.
It's been a couple months, right?
Yeah, like, your battery is the other thing too is a lot of people when they're cooking, their smoke detector will go off and they'll take the batteries out and then never put them back in. We had a rental
that's
house.
scary.
We had a rental house that $50,000 worth of damage, and that's what happened. Because
they pulled it out because it was bothering
on a
them.
previous one, and then it didn't go off. I mean, the one in the hallway went off, but they said if that one would, and he was cooking and. Yeah. Anyway, moving right along.
All right, so let's go to the next one, chimney and fireplace. So this obviously is going to apply to people that have a chimney or fireplace, but what do you have to share about our fall maintenance checklist for inside?
Okay, well, a couple of things here. Now, I'm going to say this twice. Make sure, if you don't use your fireplace, only if you don't use it. Now, if you use it, you have gas logs, anything like that, don't close the damper. But if you are not using it, close the damper. Because your hot air, warm air that you're heating in the house is just going to go up that fireplace. But for goodness sakes, please, nobody go close your damper if you've got gas logs or you're using it, because the next time you turn it on, smoke's going to come into your house. But you have a lot of, warm air rises. So that warm air will actually go out your damper straight up.
Right up the chimney.
Yeah, and actually, while we're talking about that, that's kind of a good transition into, I'm going to skip ahead to one of our other, that's a big thing to check in the fall is all your weather stripping. We have a thermal infrared cameras that we use. It's great on the radio, huh?
Yeah. Looks pretty awesome here, folks. I can see it.
Yeah. It can tell you, I'll pass it over there. And the kind of cool thing, like if I put my hand down here and then I move it away.
You can still see the heat on the countertop there from your hand pulling off. That's pretty cool.
So if you see me hanging out at the ATM machine waiting, I can go figure out what
is my PIN, right? What my
exactly.
ATM code is. Yeah,
exactly. But what we use these for, Chris, is to check where there's energy loss, which is usually going to be around doors and windows. And obviously we can do this when we do a home inspection. But if you don't have a thermal infrared camera, there's a low budget way to do it. And that's, of course, I'm going back to fire. You can take a match and you can go around, light the match and go around the edge of your doors and windows. And if there's a pull, that flame gets pulled on it, you've got some energy loss going on there. And obviously visually check if you can see daylight around, any of your doors and windows, if you're feeling any air flow there, but, or if you light a match and it that little flame doesn't stay straight, it gets pulled, or the little smoke from it gets pulled, then you need to replace your weather stripping.
That's really good. And I know I've got a couple of areas in my house where we absolutely need to do that. So that's on my honey-do list already. Oh, so it's a good one. So if you're just tuning in, we are talking with Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolinas, and we're really kind of going through the fall maintenance checklist and how to get your home ready to be winterized as we go into the cooler months. And we've been talking about all kinds of great tips. If you've got any interest in him coming out and checking out your home, whether you're going to sell your home or you're getting ready to buy a home, you need a home inspection done, you can give me a call at 704-277-4463, or you can actually call his company directly. Preston, that number is 704-542-6575. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's your main number. They can just schedule an appointment with anybody there that's available to do a home inspection.
Sure. And even if you are selling or buying or selling a house, or even if you're not, and I'm going to put this checklist on there, there's lots of resources if you go to homeinspectioncarolina.com. And we're going to put the actual full fall maintenance checklist on there. But there's also other resources that you can put on there. And, if anybody ever has something they're not, they just need a question answered. If I don't know it, I'll try to find out for you. You can contact us through our website.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'll have my assistant producer, go ahead and put this out on reshairradio.com. You'll actually be able to listen to the show back in its entirety on our website if anyone's listening and wants to hear more about what we're saying, or you want to share it with a friend. So we'll put this up as well, Preston. So, all right, we're almost done the list of interior items. Let's make sure we hit the rest of them before our next break. We got about a minute here.
Okay. Well, I'll try to do all three there in a minute.
No problem.
Filter on the stove. A lot of people forget that. It's right there where you're cooking. If you've got the old hood, you're going to slide this out. Or if you have a microwave, it's attached to the bottom of the microwave. need to take that out and clean it. A lot of times that filter gets forgotten, but it's
yeah, and I think most of the time you can actually just hand wash it and put it back in. Is that right?
Yeah, or you can put it. A lot of them you can put in the dishwasher. They're actually kind of
there. You go,
metal type thing.
That's a great idea.
2 out of the 3 is refrigerator coils. A lot of people forget this. You can extend the life of your refrigerator by pulling out your refrigerator. Those coils underneath get dust. They're really dusty. Get your your vacuum. Take the main head off and just the straight tube and vacuum around that. Clean the coils on your refrigerator. And the last one, shower heads and the end of your faucets, the aerator, they all unscrew off. Shower head unscrews off, but you're going to need some of that white tape to put it back on with. But the reason
the plumber's tape.
Right. The reason you want to take this off is sediment builds up there in there, and you want to clean that out.
Great. Awesome tips. Well, I'm excited. Not that I really want to do all these things, but I do care about making sure my home's in good shape, You
better tell your wife not to listen to this episode.
I know.
Man. You'll be working.
She does listen to this show every Sunday morning just about, so I could be in trouble, but so could some of you guys out there if your wives are listening at the same time. But hopefully you're getting some good information from Preston here this morning. So we've got 2 more segments to go. We're going to be talking about items on what we need to focus on the exterior next year. So again, you're listening to Reshair Radio. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home or buying a new car or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host and licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage here. And we have a great topic that we've been running this morning as we move into those cool winter months. We've got show expert contributor Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolina, and he has brought with him this morning here his fall maintenance checklist on kind of things that you need to do to your home inside and outside to get it ready for the winter so that your home is functioning at full efficiency and really kind of prepping for when things get cold and so forth. So we've kind of hit a bunch of the items, Preston, here on the previous segments on what we can do on the inside to get that house rolling. Sure. But let's kind of jump and make sure that our listeners know what kind of things we need to be thinking about prepping on the exterior of our home.
Sure. Well, and the reason, Chris, and you're right on. You want to take advantage of some of these good weather days.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 80 degrees November. It's awesome.
But it's getting ready to get cold, so you don't want to be trying to fix your furnace when it's 20 degrees. So it's great to take advantage of this weather, and this is a great fall time for fall maintenance, or as we've kind of figured out, it's a fall maintenance honey-do list.
That's right.
So don't let your wife listen to this episode.
That's right.
She may add a little incentive to get it done. Well, the next thing is one of the more obvious with the leaves falling is the gutters. Got to clean all those gutters and downspouts. Because if not, the water's not, when it rains, it's not going to drain properly, and it can back up and, leak into your soffits and things like that. One thing I wanted to add about this is, I know sometimes getting up on the roof, it can be dangerous.
That's right. And there are accidents every year from people who are not professionals.
Absolutely.
Cleaning their gutters.
I tell you what I have come to do and clean my gutters, and I always go to my mom's and clean hers, is I purchased a backpack blower, which, lots of more power with one of these they're about 300, 350, but you can go online or go to one of the local shops. They actually have attachments, Chris, that are like multiple pipes, that attach,
kind of like a vacuum hose.
Right. That will actually, go, I don't know the exact footage. I want to say it's like 12 foot or so, and then hook around. So what I can do is stand from the ground and actually, a backpack blower. And just
Oh, yeah,
blow
yeah.
the-
And just kind of hook it all the way up around, and you can blow the leaves out without even getting on a ladder.
Absolutely. Now,
Wow, that's cool.
I'll prepare you ahead of time, though. It's messy. Don't wear nice clothes.
Put a hat on.
Yeah. It's going to blow all those wet leaves out of there, and they're going to be icky. But, I'd rather be messy than
Maybe get hurt.
falling off of a ladder.
And you know what? You can't really pull something out of your mailbox these days without some sort of coupon or advertisement from some local company that will come through your neighborhood and typically do these things for a relatively affordable price. So if it's not up your wheelhouse in terms of climbing up the side of your house, just pay somebody a couple $100s to come in and get your leaves taken care of and do a couple of these things for you. And I do want to ask you, since you are a home inspector and we're talking about cleaning out your gutters, from your experience, have you seen some of those like leaf guard products and so forth? Are those actually helpful in these situations? Do you find they're effective? Because my always concern has been when I see these commercials that it seems like a lot of the water would run over top of that special feature and then run down your house, and you may see some of those impacts. I don't know. I mean, this is just kind of off the cuff, but
there's two different types. There's that sort of that solid type that kind of has like a little drainage there at the bottom.
Like a lip or,
right.
a
And
gully.
then there's kind of like the mesh ones that are kind of, I'm not a big fan of the mesh ones because it's like the leaves and the little sticks and stuff get caught in it. And then it's just crazy it's hard to clean those. I do like the solid ones. I mean, the only problem with any of these are, though, if the leaves still get clogged on them. In theory, if it runs off, and then the leaves just blow off and the water comes down, it works fine. But sometimes that has to do with the slope of your roof, that sort of thing. I mean, sometimes leaves still get caught on top of them, even if they're
and then your
metal.
water could be running down your
Yeah.
siding and getting behind your siding.
Exactly. So
I'm just curious.
my political answer is it depends.
It depends. Very good.
But hey, I do want to back up on one thing you said, Chris. I'm a firm believer in getting someone to clean your gutters. Just make sure that those folks are licensed, bonded, and insured. Because if one of those folks fell off your roof,
Then you're liable for that financially,
you don't-
potentially.
Yeah, you want to make sure they have their own insurance, and it's okay to ask to see it. That's all I got to say on that.
No, that's good. That's good. That's why you're here. You're a professional. We really respect your counsel. So I appreciate your thoughts on those gutter systems as well. So, all right, let's talk about the roof next. What are your thoughts on the roof?
Well, a couple of things. Obviously, you got to clean any debris off of the roof, particularly if you live in. Everybody needs to clean the roof. Any leaves, debris, that sort of thing, because the shingles that we have, 99% of the roofs have asphalt composition shingles. That 1% that has tile, they're the 1% people who have the funky radiator heat too.
Right.
So.
Polybutylene
We're not talking about the 1%.
pipes
Right.
and everything else, right?
But the asphalt composition shingles are not waterproof, and they're made to shed water like feathers on a duck. So as long as the water's not impeded in any way, it's going to drain off. But if it's impeded via leaves, sticks, pine cones, those little cherry, I hate those little, what do they call those things?
Yes, I know what you mean.
I can't think of the name of
The things that circle and drop and fly.
If it impedes the water and the water ponds for any reason, it can leak down in there. So you want to make sure, especially after all the leaves have fallen, that not just your gutters are clean, but your roof is full of debris, especially if you've got angles, roofs that come together, and especially if you live in neighborhoods with mature trees.
Because sometimes big branches will fall down on your roof, you don't realize it, and it could pierce some small holes. And if you've got leaves building up, that water can penetrate at that point.
Yeah, and I would also check all your trees around anywhere near your roof, actually your whole yard. If you got any dead limbs or anything like that, go ahead and get those cut or trimmed. Because if we get a major ice storm, that puts a lot of weight on them, and you don't want a big branch coming through a bay window or something like that.
All right, always filled with good counsel here. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, and we are listening to Preston Sandlin. If you have heard anything of interest that you like about Preston and Home Inspection Carolina, and you might need your home inspected anytime soon, but please give me a call or shoot me a text message and say, I need Preston. And that number is 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. We're really just going through his fall maintenance checklist. in terms of things that we can do exterior, interior wise, and we're just kind of going down the list here. So let's talk about the air conditioner next, Preston. What do you think we need to do on the outside to prep it for the winter months?
Well, the air conditioner, you mainly, again, just want to make sure it's free of debris. Our air conditioners are over on the right side of our house where there's just tons of trees and they get lots of branches. And
yeah, the leaves bury up and, actually can cover the unit sometimes.
Yeah, and you want to also make sure that if you got those doggone cottonwoods or anything like that, oh gosh, hate those cottonwoods, anything like that, it's built up. You want to clean your air conditioner. They build up because it just sucks them in. Clean that off of your air conditioner so that it'll work. It'll work optimally when the season opens again next spring when it gets warmer.
Very good. All right. So outdoor furniture.
This
Next.
is on my list. This is what I've got to do prior to the game this weekend. Thanks, Chris. Because Meg will be listening to this.
That's right.
But we bought some new furniture, and it was nice, and it was a nice price too. A lot of the wicker stuff, and it's lovely, love it. But the sun, obviously the sun in the summer takes a beating on it. But you use it in the summer, but in the winter you're not going to be using it. If we have snow, sleet. You just want to prolong the life of your furniture. So we went on Amazon and bought some covers for everything, and it's sitting in the box.
Yeah, we've got some really nice high-end vinyl covers for ours as well. And it's really nice just to be able to throw that cover on. Sometimes we do it when we know we're going to have like a week of rain, just so not everything's so damp, with the rain. But yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion. You can get some really nice stuff online for sure.
Absolutely. Some people put them up, but I think, did you just leave yours out?
We leave ours out. We do put our cushions in one of those big storage bins that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's.
You find that prolongs the life of the cushions.
Yeah, exactly. So we tuck away the cushions so they're not sitting out all winter. But the actual furniture, we just cover up.
Yeah, that's good thinking, man. I like it.
All right. So next one on the list is yard equipment. What do you have to share about that?
Well, again, make sure you put the stabilizer in it. I like to make sure, go ahead and change the oil, string, just to have it, all the maintenance stuff so that it'll be ready in the spring.
There's nothing like being able to go out, put some fresh gas in, and just go to work.
I know, and it's nothing more frustrating
when it's not ready.
Until there's a place on your hand where your skin's raw because you can't get it started. But, after you do the yard equipment, also the hoses, what you don't want is to leave your hose attached with water in it from the last time you used it, because when it freezes, it's, if you're lucky, it's only going to damage your hose. It could go all the way back and damage your
piping system.
Correct. So you want to disconnect them, drain all the water from them, and again, you may want to put these up in a garage storage area, because that winter ice, snow, sleet really will age your hose along with the cushions, I've learned.
That's right.
Faster than you want them, because you've made an investment in all these things. You want to protect your investment.
Sure. And I'm going to add to that list, they also make those little winterized covers for your faucets that you can wrap right around your hose bib. So that way, if we do have a week of ice, that it's not going to damage your, the ice isn't going to go down into the piping system in your home and freeze your pipes.
Yeah, I love those things. They're kind of like a styrofoam, and they're sort of like a cup of stuff, big.
It's got a little elastic strip, and you pull on it and tighten it right to the side of your house.
Or they'll have like a little screw that attaches to or a hook that'll attach to your actual faucet, and then on the outside, they'll have like a wing nut. You just tighten it down, and it tightens.
There's that kind too. So yeah, I throw those on every winter just to kind of protect in case we do get a freeze. I know we don't get it that much in the South, but just when you think you're protected, you're not, and that's the last thing you want is your pipes to burst in the middle of the winter.
Absolutely.
That's happened to me living up north, growing up north. Hadn't happened to my family many times before.
Well,
so
I had my dad's business back in the day. I was little, so and this is probably child labor laws or something. He would send me under the house with a with like a little propane torch, and I had to put the torch on the copper. to defrost it.
Sounds
was
like a safe thing to do with
yeah,
your young
yeah. Now
child.
when I look back at it, I mean that might explain a lot. But you thought it was normal at the time, but you talk later like he gave you a propane torch. How old were you?
Well,
7?
stay tuned, folks, so that you can learn all the tricks of the trades of what not to do
Yeah.
from advice from our fathers when we were younger. But again, we're out of time for this segment. We've got one last segment. We got a few more things to go through in terms of our fall maintenance checklist. Again, you're listening to Reshair Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sports fans know that the key to winning the big game is going in prepared. Right now, houses are selling fast. So if you're in the market for a new home purchase, don't just be prepared, be Movement Mortgage prepared. Charlotte's leading mortgage lender, Chris Reshatar at Movement Mortgage will tee you up with a free, fully underwritten, upfront pre-approval. Call Chris today at 704-277-4463. Go into the game prepared with Chris Reshatar of Movement Mortgage.
This is Chris Reshatar, your host of Reshair Radio. As a mortgage professional, we interact with several industry-related professionals, and we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I have a choice to select a closing attorney either to purchase or do a refinance, I choose John Ringer with Hutchins Law Firm. He is a legal professional and he covers commercial and residential transactions. More than just a closing attorney, John wants to be your attorney for life. He can provide you insights you need to make accurate and informed legal decisions. As a Charlotte native, John has witnessed the tremendous growth and development of our city and region. As a part of Hutchins Law Firm with more than a quarter century of experience and 400 years of collective combined legal experience, they have what you're looking for. They have offices in Charlotte, Fayetteville, Wilmington, and Columbia, South Carolina. Please give John a call if you need an attorney, the right attorney, at 980-275-9810. That's 980-275-9810. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, and we are wrapping up our final segment, and we're talking about our fall maintenance checklist here with Preston Sandlin, Home Inspection Carolina extraordinaire. Preston, you have shared some great advice here this morning in terms of what we can do to kind of get our house winterized. We've talked about several things that we can do on the exterior, but we actually have about 12 minutes to get through the rest of the exterior items so that all you guys listening to the show can have something to do before the game is on, or maybe after the game, or depending on when you give up on watching the game. Hopefully that's not the case, and the Panthers are doing well.
Hopefully it's because they're winning so
That's
big.
right. That's right. That you just say, okay, we got this in the bag. But we were just kind of talking about, as we were wrapping up the last segment, kind of winterizing your yard equipment, getting your hoses ready, etc. But here's one here. It says garbage/recycling bins. So what do you mean? What do we need to do there?
This is my least favorite on the list, Chris. And I added this. I've done this several years and kind of added and took away. And I just added this one because yesterday was our garbage day. And oh my goodness, man. I was bringing the garbage can back and it fell. And I don't know about you guys, but
the fell and then the smell.
Oh yeah, the fell and the smell, and it did fail the smell test. Most places around now, your garbage only comes once a week. When I was growing up, I think it came like 3 times a week. But man, when you put stuff out in that garbage and it sits for 7 days or 6 days, it can.
It's not fun.
Yeah, and then if for whatever reason there's some sort of liquid that is, I'm sure,
collecting,
is very toxic. Right. I mean, I don't even know what to do with this liquid. I'm afraid if I pour it down the drain, I'm going to poison some fish down the line or something. But the way that smells. But yeah, definitely, it's a good time to. And if you have kids that are over 12, it's a good job for them. Over 7 if it's my dad.
That's right.
Hey, boy, after you get done, de-thawing the pipes.
Crawl down in there and want you to scrub this thing out.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't come out in 2 hours, I'll pull you out.
So you basically try to wash them out.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've got, this may be something that you want to use an old, if you're one of those folks that washes your own car, which I used to pay my kids to, use an old brush for this because the brush might not be any good after you use it.
Disposable.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, decks. What do you want to share with us on decks kind of winterizing here for the exterior?
Well, this is the best time to do your deck maintenance. First of all, you're going to just look for any, loose railing, loose wood, splintering wood, weathered wood. The fall is actually an excellent time to resurface or, reseal your deck, which typically what people do is, you can look online and, find some YouTube videos on how, but typically you're going to pressure wash it to,
get it all
prepped.
cleaned up.
And you can make it look new again. I mean, man, does it look great after that.
And that pressure washer step, sometimes people forget, but it actually makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And depending on, then typically, if you want to stain it a certain way, some people like it natural, you would skip the staining step, but you definitely want to go back with a sealer, and don't go cheap on sealer, because this is, it's going to take you a while to do this. And typically you mix it up in a pump sprayer. Too many details about it to
go through for today's show, right? Follow the instructions.
But that's basically it. But definitely a good time to reseal your deck, and you prolong the life of your deck, and extend its life expectancy.
Yeah, and you've also seen on those home inspections when someone hasn't done it, and it's amazing how the wood can crack, the finish can peel off, and even the boards start to curl up.
Right.
If it's not properly protected, and that can happen in just 1 or 2 years. Your deck looks brand new, and it looks like it's been there 10 years. Yeah. So simple stuff to do. I know it takes a couple of Saturdays to knock some of these things out, but really makes a big difference in the long run.
Well, and resealing it's a lot cheaper than replacing wood.
That's right. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
All right. So trees and bushes.
This is the best time of the year to trim your trees and bushes. You want to wait till after all the leaves have fallen. Get somebody who knows what they're doing again, and also make sure they're licensed and bonded, because if there's trees, they're going to be on ladders and things that are dangerous. Fortunately, this is part of the honey-do list that I contract out. I used to do this, but I can trim the bushes, but the trees, I just don't have the equipment. I mean, there's all kinds of equipment that, people can, that have extensions and stuff, but you do want to trim, especially if you got crepe myrtles, stuff like that, because if you don't, it's going to be next year it's going to be weighed to the ground if you don't trim it back.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents here on trimming the bushes. I used to have an electric hedge trimmer.
Did you trim the cord?
And I trimmed, I don't know, maybe 10 different cords. I was like, I probably spent $100 in an extension cord. So I was like, I went and got myself a gas one, and never will I cut through an electric cord ever again. But the cost, I could have bought 3 gas trimmers, hedge trimmers, for
did
the
you see
cost.
Fireworks when you did it? It was like, I'm telling you, if Chris's homeowners and policy guy is listening,
that's right.
See his lamp caught on fire.
That's right.
Like, he's gonna get home like, honey, why did our insurance cancel us?
Yeah, my insurance guy could be listening. Yeah. But simple little tip, but don't go cheap on the electric hedge trimmer. Just get the gas one, and it will save you hundreds of dollars in cords.
Exactly.
But all right, so what's next on our list here? You said fallen leaves. We kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you get the leaves off of your yard. Hopefully, we're kind of on the back end of this now. Hopefully, you guys aerated and seeded your lawn, put some fertilizer down. You want to put the fertilizer down with the heavy, the fertilizer has 3 numbers, and it's that second number. Gosh, I can't think of it right now. But it's the second number promotes root growth. I think it's potassium, high potassium fertilizer. And then towards the winter, you want a winterizer fertilizer. But, like I said, let me go back to make sure you get those leaves off, because it's going to kill the grass and it won't have a chance for it to grow. But, definitely get the leaves off of your lawn and put a winter fertilizer down.
Perfect. All right, next one on the list is caulk.
Caulk. You can't caulk too much. Well, you can. Let me take that back. But this is a good time to go around your house and, all the joints, anywhere, the windows, the doors, trim, wherever you have materials come together. And what happens is, Chris, in the summer, everything expands, and in the winter, it contracts. And, you'll see little gaps that you didn't see because it's cold. Everything's contracted. And the caulk has some elasticity in it to account for that, but it can only do it so many seasons, and then it starts to crack. And if your caulk starts to fail, what's going to happen, Chris, is the moisture is going to go in behind the wood or trim where it's not primed and painted, and the wood's porous, and it will soak it up and cause wood rot, which we see on a lot of home
inspections. That's right. If your screwdriver pushes halfway through in the side of your house, you got problems.
We have a failure to caulk here.
That's right. And you don't need a carry and conceal permit to work a caulk gun, right?
No, that is correct.
You don't.
That is correct. Although, if you don't know what you're doing, you might should get somebody who does.
That's right.
I have seen some really bad caulking jobs.
All right, so we kind of talked about this. The next one on the list was checking for loose rails on your deck, weatherizing the boards. We kind of hit that a little bit earlier.
Sure.
Let's talk about irrigation.
Okay, well, if you have an irrigation system, you're going to want to cut that off and drain it because if there's water left in the irrigation system and we have a hard freeze, it's going to bust sprinkler heads or, your lines, and you don't want that. That's expensive to repair. So, if you do it yourself, you've got to figure out where the shutoff is and where the drain is, and make sure that you drain it completely.
Perfect.
For the winter.
Let's go. Now I'm interested in this next one. You say here on the sidewalks, check sidewalks and driveways for cracks. So, tell me about that. So, and if I do find one, then what?
That's a good question. Man, I thought about this when I put it on there. It's a good time to go out and check. A little bit of crack in your driveway is, you show me a driveway, I'll show you a crack. That's the home court advantage if you have your basketball goal there because you know where the cracks are. The person you're playing does it.
Right.
But what we don't want is differential cracking. And what I mean by that is, one's going up, one's going down. A big separation crack. Little hairline cracks here and there are pretty normal. That doesn't bother me. If you find cracks, to answer your question, the next question should be, what's causing this? Is this normal? Is it not? Is there some drainage issue? If there's a drainage issue, you got to get that fixed. I've got a little bit of a drainage issue now where, every time it rains, I've got water puddling along one side there, and I'm noticing that it's cracking. And, it could be undermining part of your driveway and,
affecting the integrity of that foundation. It could then sink further or break off.
Correct. So I guess, again, in our election season here, my politically correct answer is assess what's causing the crack and is it normal. They do make some caulk for cracking, but I'm not a fan. It just does not look good.
Yeah.
I hope they're not a sponsor of the show, but
they are not at this point. I think we just lost that opportunity, but go ahead.
They do sell concrete caulk. And you can buy that and use it, but I'm not a fan of the way it looks.
I think really at the end of the day, the idea behind this is looking for major issues, and if there are, you may have to actually have somebody that works in concrete and sidewalks and so forth fix the issue before it becomes a big problem.
That's correct. And I want to add one thing real quick. I made this mistake. If you do have ice or snow, shovel it. Don't put salt on it. Salt is horrible. Horrible. It will cause because it melts and that salt water gets down in the concrete and causes it to chip and all kinds of stuff. I've seen it on porches. It'll deteriorate the in between the bricks, the mortar. Not a fan of putting salt. Just shovel it. Or put sand, but not salt.
A good suggestion. So just as we sort of wrap up the show, one of them is cleaning out your dryer vent. That's something that you can do pretty easily. It takes a little bit of effort, but get that dryer vent cleaned out. Make sure it's not clogging up, so your dryer can push out that heat like it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's a big cause of house fires. When your dryer's running, go find where it's venting and make sure that it, the vent's opening and it's having,
it's pushing out the air.
Out good. Because if it's not pushing out, you got a problem. You need to get it cleaned out.
Yep. And you can do that yourself or hire somebody to do it. And I know they sell kits at Lowe's or Home Depot for that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So last one is cover and store your grill. Pretty simple. We're about out of time here, Preston. Gosh, the show is like flown. I mean, we just feel like we just got started and we just sort of wrapped up this great fall maintenance checklist here with Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolinas. And I want to say again, Preston, you said you'll have this out on your website. Do you want to share your website and phone number real quick? And I'll put it out on my reshairradio.com website as well.
Absolutely. It's, Chris, it's homeinspectioncarolina.com. You might have to go over to the resources tab, but homeinspectioncarolina.com, or you can call us at 704-542-6575.
And again, thank you for listening to Reshair Radio. This is Chris Reshatar signing off for another great week. Preston, it's been great to have you again.
Oh,
as always, we'll see you back next month. And And we hope everyone has a great week and hopefully you can get some of this fall maintenance checklist knocked out here over the next couple of weeks, right?
Got my marching orders.
I've got you, me too. So, all right, you folks have a great week. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
When choosing an insurance agency, you want a company you can trust. We are an independent insurance agency that can protect your personal assets, including your home, your business assets, as well as health and insurance needs. A true one-stop solution provider. We do not work for an insurance company. We work for you. As an independent insurance agency, our duty is to our clients' best interests. It is our responsibility to provide you the best service and the best coverage at the best possible price. You will have the added benefit of working with agents who understand your needs. After visiting our website, we will schedule an exploratory appointment to discuss your specific needs. Please visit our website at www.movementinsurance.com. That's www.movementinsurance.com.
You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshatar, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender. Originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.